Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Talking Feds one-on-one. We are really very happy to be here today with, can you still say this? A Jane of all trades. Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill represents New Jersey's 11th Congressional District. She, for 10 years, was a Navy helicopter pilot and policy officer. She also served in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, where she developed community programs to prevent crime and foster trust with law enforcement. And since the last time we talked, sometime back in October, so she's added another entry to her very packed resume. What might that be, Congresswoman?
I am now running for governor of the great state of New Jersey.
Fantastic. And we're a nonpartisan show, but still, how's it going? What's it like? How different is it? How do you do your day job at the same time? What's the story?
Well, luckily, I am a mom of 4 kids, so I'm good at multitasking because there is a lot going on. In fact, I'm down in Washington now because we just had that horrible vote yesterday where we saw our Republican colleagues start the plan to, what could lead to taking away Medicaid from just hundreds of thousands of people, including 800,000 people in New Jersey alone, 800,000 school-age children,
Kids,
which
right?
actually
Yeah.
is over half the number of school-age children in our state. So it's where I'm down here doing this, but then running in New Jersey feels great because we are one of only 2 states that has a statewide election in 2025. So this is going on now, and it feels really like an opportunity to chart a different path forward, to talk about what we view as a vision for the country.
Yeah, so that is really important because people are thinking, well, we'll wait until 2026, but not in the case of New Jersey. You, Congresswoman, have been involved in so many of the areas that I think have been hit the hardest. To my mind, I'm a DOJ alum, as are you, but it's not a matter of breaking glass. There are certain things that are literally on fire. Let's start with this budget proposal that the R's completely passed late yesterday with nary a Democratic vote, but it's takes a sledgehammer to Medicaid, as you said, food assistance, education. You've been getting inundated with calls from your district where your constituents are alarmed by these deep cuts. What are they telling you, and what are you trying to respond?
Yeah, we've been getting thousands of cuts, or thousands of calls, I'm sorry, really with so many different feelings. People are angry. They're angry that this unelected official is taking a sledgehammer to our government, getting access to their personal data. They want to know why and what he's going to do with it. I think that's a fair question to ask. And we hear from people who are scared. They're saying, look, I rely on Medicaid for my mom and dad in a nursing home. What's going to happen to that? How am I going to pay for that? The fear that people have that they said they were going to do this. They've done it. Now they said, they've also said they're going to come after Social Security and the Department of
Right.
Education. Are they going to do that? And what can I expect there? So I guess at the heart of it all, you just sit here and think, why? What is the vision of government if not to create opportunity for people, to create a better life? And all I can come up with is this is a president and his unelected billionaire friends who wants to drive wealth to himself and his family and not to allow for the greatest amount of flourishing of the people of the United States of America. And it's offensive.
It's offensive, and it's a very frightening time to know how to push back because they do have levers on almost everything. Well, but at least the cost of eggs is very low. Not, but the things that people were worried about. Okay, I know you've made your concerns known to the speaker. Maybe we'll have time to get back to it. My own hobby horse is the DOJ. That was in your many, many stops, not your longest, but still, you were very involved with the community programs to prevent crime. And maybe there's overall good news here, but it's certainly been clear to me that the news from Maine justice, certain big offices, is horrendous. New Jersey is an interesting place. It is, right next to New York, but it functions more on its own kind of terms. Do you have any sense of the kind of morale hit and general state of play within your old U.S. Attorney's office?
I think people are really worried about what's coming next. Like everything else in federal service, it's very unclear. I was just speaking to some U.S. attorneys who I actually didn't know when I was in office. They were at an event I was at, some younger assistant U.S. attorneys, and they didn't seem to know if their job was secure, if they would be let go.
Right.
One of the people that I think many of us thought was possibly going to be the next U.S. attorney seems to have turned down the job, which I thought was really scary, thinking about the type of people that might take on this job and wondering what they have to do. What loyalty test is it going to take to become a U.S. attorney right now? Because, as you know, U.S. attorneys' offices have always prided themselves on being this independent voice for justice. I remember my old U.S. attorney, Paul Fishman, used to say it was the only department with justice in its name. The Department of Justice, what it does. And so we have this real pride in taking an oath to the Constitution. You saw someone like even Daniela Sassoon, who, I mean, here is somebody who is a very right-wing person. I'm sure we would have disagreed on different thoughts on policy or the law. She was a part of the Federalist Society and clerked, I think, for Scalia, Justice Scalia, if I remember
That's
correctly.
right.
And yet, she was somebody who felt deeply she'd taken an oath to the Constitution, not to a loyalty test to the president, and stood up to what was going on. What are these new U.S. attorneys going to have to do to get the job?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. That's my sense too. It's really not a Democrat Republican kind of divide. Okay, I'm jumping around a lot, but A, we don't have a lot of time, and B, you have jumped around a lot, but you served all this time in active duty with the Navy, but you specifically had a lot of focus on Russia. And I noticed that you tweeted out recently the anniversary of the invasion of Ukraine, which we're now being told was actually Ukraine's fault, etc. I just wonder, it's not your committee work in the House, but what's your sense of what's happening there and the kind of abandonment, I don't think it's too strong a word, of not just an ally, but a kind of a barrier between the European community and really the totalitarian regime of Russia.
It feels really devastating right now, to have spent my life working to keep this country safe. And, we always said, as people in the military, that we never fight alone because we had such strong allies. That was always kind of a huge value add of ours, where other countries like Russia or China did not have good alliances. They sort of forced people to do their will. We had partnerships across the world, people that agreed with our vision and democracy. And right now we're seeing a rollback of that. So to see at the UN that our country voted with Russia and North Korea, that's appalling. That is appalling. And those are countries that have aligned against democracy for decades. And so to see again that the president is trying to build a military of loyalists, that's dangerous. That is dangerous to our national security, because people are going to understand that it is not doing your job well that is going to get you a promotion. It is toting up to Trump as well as possible that is going to get you that promotion. And that is going to harm our national security.
Right. It's just not the same thing. Yeah. I certainly have those apprehensions, and just the ravaging of the FBI, what it could mean for public safety, really things on the street. I think people think of it more in terms of the bureaucratic hit, but it's really a sort of public one. Let me go in now back to your day job. you've had such an unusual time there. You enter in 2019 in the beginning of Trump 1.0. You experience COVID and the like. There's the time then after he's gone. Now he has returned. Um, Obviously, although please comment on it if you like, Congresswoman, the complete sort of indolence and cowing of Republicans, particularly in the Senate, has been disheartening. But what's your sense of the Dems now? I do have here. I'm going to read what James Carville, who a lot of people listen to on the political side, he says. Time to take a step back and let Trump punch himself out. He's already in decline. Just let the ball come to you. We don't need to be aggressive now. You're probably hearing from a lot of people who think that the in the House and the Senate Dems have to be more present and aggressive, even though it's hard without an official perch of power. What's your own feeling about the party and what it needs to be doing? Obviously, you've made your protest very strongly known about the new budget, say. But does with the total kind of acquiescence or abdication of the R's, is there something that the Democratic Party needs to do that it's not doing now?
No, we need new leaders. We need a fresh perspective. We need people to step up to the fore. I just can't in any way, as a lifetime public servant, imagine myself in a time of crisis like this, stepping back and just allowing this whole thing
Right.
to go and devolve into chaos. We had a saying in the Navy: lead, follow, or get out of the way. To me, those are the options, and I'm certainly not going to get out of Trump's way right now. We need leadership. We need people who are going to call out this horrible budget, who are going to talk to people about what's going on in their lives and deeply understand, how is this impacting you? And then talk about why this is, anything but efficient government, utilization of resources. I mean, this is harming real people on the ground, people who we could help take opportunities available to them to thrive. And now we're punching them in the face for no other reason than to filter information, private data, money to Trump and his billionaire friends. And it's harming people. And we need America to be aware of a different vision. What are Dems going to do? So we don't have a lot of power right now, but I think we can lay out a vision right now of what it will look like when we do take power, and we will. I mean, this is unacceptable to me and to so many people across New Jersey. I can tell you that we are not sitting back. We are having rallies. We are having town halls. We are doing meet and greets with hundreds of people. I'm going across the state. We are building the type of agenda, the type of force, the type of vision that it's going to take, I think, to lead this country. And that's what Democrats should be focused on.
And what's your sense, Congresswoman, of the role that state office holders, especially in blue states, you aspire to be one, are they stepping up adequately? Are they being, as you say, there's only so much to be done, but nevertheless, there's different kind of power there, different levers. They are counterweights under the constitutional structure. How are you seeing that piece of the chessboard being exercised?
Well, I think states are having to figure out how they're going to navigate in areas where, for example, the federal government is refusing money that has been allocated by Congress, so illegally refusing money, or if they get rid of the Department of Education. How are states going to claw back those federal resources and federal taxes so that states can move forward in the things that are important? And quite frankly, New Jersey is especially vulnerable to this because we send so much money to the federal government that if the federal government does not return that, we are going to have to come up with new ways of doing business and keeping that money at home so that we can fund things like our great education system, to make sure our communities are more resilient to flooding, to build more homes so that people can afford to live in our state. We have a lot of work to do, and we are going to have to get real creative real fast on how we do that.
Talking Feds is supported by the Brennan Center for Justice. In this new political era, the Brennan Center will do what they do best: defend the Constitution and the rule of law. They're prepared to fight against presidential overreach and will continue advocating for reforms to resist weaponized government, stop billionaires from corrupting our elections, and ensure every eligible American has the freedom to vote. Stay informed by visiting brennancenter.org.
What about what's going on in immigration in New Jersey? We're unfortunately very much focused on it in New York and the efforts by the administration to sort of countermand or even coercively influence the policy there. What are you seeing on the ground about your immigrant community?
So, again, people want a nation of laws, and a nation of immigrants, right? Like that's who we are. And so
Yeah.
I think what people want to do is understand that the laws are being followed and that we have a pathway to citizenship for people, that we have a pathway to citizenship for DACA recipients and TPS recipients, that people are able to come here legally. Right now, I think everyone says, oh, I just want people to come here the right way. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to come to this country and how our economy isn't functioning as well as it should be because we have such a broken immigration system. So we need to make sure we have secure borders, we have processing so people aren't waiting for their paperwork for months, if not years. We need to make sure that people who break the law are held accountable and prosecuted. And then people who are here, who are paying into the system, who have worked in the system, have a pathway to citizenship.
And what are you seeing actual, hard-nosed efforts by the federal government to try to do raids on New Jersey residents?
We have seen a couple raids, and there are some questions out about whether or not they were constitutional. So in other words, there was no warrant. Did someone invite them in? We're still looking at that. We've contacted the Judiciary Committee to continue to have them look at that and see if we can't get the body cams to understand how that took place. We have heard about other raids in the community, and some of them have been overly broad, picking up people that are legally here or have paperwork. So we remain concerned about that. We have not seen raids in the schools, which is really, I think that community has really, drawn a line. And I think we would, should ICE agents try to go into our schools, that would be kind of a red line for families and parents. And then what really worries me, which we have seen a problem with, is, when I came into the U.S. Attorney's Office, we were working in the aftermath of some spying that had gone on by the NYPD on the mosques in New Jersey, and trying to build trust between our community, because that's a really dangerous situation if you have whole parts of the community that don't feel that they can trust law enforcement. And we are now seeing a lot of our immigrant community feeling as if they can't trust law enforcement and hiding. And, so you can imagine a situation where someone is a victim of domestic violence and is afraid to come forward. Or where someone is being taken advantage of and is afraid to come forward in all different ways. So that is one of the dangerous situations. Even coming forward to report criminal behavior in their neighborhood to help keep people safe, I think we are worried that that is not taking place right now as a result of this.
Yeah, to me, it's part of the dynamic. People see it in Democrat-Republican concerns, but I really think it's sometimes more illuminating to think of it as people who are institutionalists or who believe government can help versus people who don't. And it certainly does seem that element of government to actually, make people's lives better, including citizens of the who came here in a different way, and it does seem to be under real assault. I've got about 96 more questions to ask you, but I know you've got to go. Godspeed. You're about halfway through your run. When is the election for governor?
The election for governor, the primary is June 10th, and then the election is this November. If you want to find out more, you can go to MikieSherrill.com and check out.
And there you go. I was a New Jersey resident, so it's not a done deal if you win the primary. I know Chris Christie was elected when I was there. Anyway, Godspeed to you, and I hope we'll have a chance to talk more as the year progresses, especially with the real mess in funding in the House.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.